I had a tidy up.
Huh?
I had a tidy up.
What tidy up? Oh. There we go. Right.
Ooh.
Quite bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's mine Easter egg, okay? Mine.
Okay, recording.
I just remembered my notebook.
Okay. So Laurelei's going to share screen with the slides, isn't she? So
Yeah, I'm gonna get my behind in my seat and I'll do that.
I've kept the link from last week as well for the at the end. So I just post that into the chat.
do you know, it's quite interesting with the donation. I mean, obviously it doesn't bring in a huge amount, but it people do respond to that, so it's really nice that people, if they can, are making a donation. Right. Okay. So you ready to go?
Looks good. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Enjoy yourselves, and I will let everybody in.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Okay. Oh, we are a smidge early. I just realized that.
We are. We're a couple of minutes early. I think we should. Well, wait until 5 and then start. I think, if you're ready.
Yeah, of course, of course. And maybe while I'm waiting, I'm gonna get an extra visual source if I can find it. I don't think I can find it right now. It's fine. It's fine. All right. I hope everyone is doing well. I haven't checked the chat box yet. Hopefully you're doing well.
Oh, it's just hellos at the moment and greetings.
I also noticed that for the past few years, I didn't realize this until a couple of days ago, that I do have a slight obsession with clouds.
Oh, really?
Yes. And as I was going through, because I'm putting together my second book, I'm editing the things I'll put in, things I won't, and I had like 4 or 5 different lessons on clouds. Just kind of.
You should maybe you can talk to us a little bit about your book later, Laurelie. Maybe when you're.
Sure, we can do that.
I think that would be really interesting for everyone. I'm sure you have a lot of interested people.
Yeah, of course. I'm trying to get my ducks in a row to try to restart. But I have a new designer I'm working with, so we're in good hands, it seems.
Should I? It's just gone 5, so would you like to? Should I start?
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We could maybe just move on to the next slide.
I'll move it down when you need to.
Oh, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our third workshop on clouds and arches with Laurelie Rae. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start the workshops. We'd like to ask everyone to please make sure your microphones are on mute and that your cameras are off for the duration of the class. I am the moderator today, so please use the chat box to send me any questions, and I will try and either answer them myself or forward them on to Laurelie. And
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm fired from this job.
Okay. So enjoy the session, and there will be a break halfway through. My name is Ayesha Gamiet, and I'm an artist, illustrator, and art educator from the southeast of England. I graduated from the Princess School for Traditional Arts in 2007, where I specialised in illuminated manuscripts and miniature painting. And I'm very happy to be moderating these workshops with Leighton House and teaching my own set of workshops later on in the year. I have the pleasure of introducing Laurelie Rae, who is an artist based in Istanbul, where she has lived since 2014. She also has a master's from the Princess School and from Sabancı University in Turkey in visual art and communication. She specializes in ceramics, drawing, and illustration, and is the author of Islamic Art and Architecture, Memories of Seljuk and Ottoman Masterpieces. So this is her third session in our Leighton House art workshops. So if you've been joining us on the previous two sessions, you would have painted male and female figures, and today we're going to be looking at arches and clouds. So enjoy the session, everyone, and I'm going to hand over to Laurelie now to begin the workshop. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and I'm just going to screen share again for our quick little discussion. And I think I closed it, so bear with me. One second. There we go. Okay. Okay, so again, thank you, Ayesha and Leighton House and Charlotte. This has been quite a treat to go through this tile panel and take out different things here and there for inspiration, and staying true to the spirit of the artwork, but then also creating something new. And I think that's fun and important. So let's get going. So yeah, basically we did the introduction already, and the Google Drive and class materials are for you to use, but they're for you to use only in terms of these are curated for each class, and I put a lot of work into them. So please just keep them amongst yourself. If you would like to share your artwork, and we'd love you to, of course, you can share your artwork with damascustiles@gmail.com and charlotte.videos@rbkc.gov.uk. And then also here is our social media platforms that you can tag us on. We love to share and to see what you're up to. It's always great after class seeing all the stuff that you've come up with. Even still now, I'm sure, Ayesha, you'd agree that we're still getting stuff from previous classes.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So it's nice to see. And I have one student that seems to be very, very content, and it's quite beautiful work she's doing with one of the first tiles that we did. I think it was a William de Morgan tile, and it's got clouds and carnations, and she's done quite a few different versions of it. So it's quite nice. So when I'm talking about clouds today, I'm going to start with clouds, and then we're going to go to the arches. The arches will be a little short, mainly because the arch serves as a support in this drawing, and because I like clouds a lot more, which is bad to say. So that's where we're gonna spend most of our time today. In any case, I wanted you to understand where some of these motifs can place their history, their visual history. So we have here a Ming Dynasty jar, and it has a really wonderful dragon on it. And so it's believed that the dragon was, I have it written down here, it was a symbol of power and strength and good luck to the people who deserved it, which is interesting that that part is put. And it was often used to represent the imperial power. So it would be an animal associated with the emperor. What is interesting though is that in the appropriation of ceramics in the 15th and 16th century, which is, you know, think of Sultan Suleiman's time, we have the Mughals, the Safavids, and the Ottomans at their peak, and there is trading going along the Silk Road, and the Ottomans really developed and acquired a taste for the Ming Dynasty porcelain, the Celadon ware, the blue and white, etc. So it's believed that there was an appropriation and an appropriation of the dragon, which would then turn into the clouds, considered to be a more appropriate way to integrate certain motifs. Depending on where these pieces were used, if they were for secular use or for religious use, or secular versus public actually, you would have animals in secular atmosphere environments, sorry, and then you would have things like clouds representing those dragons. Possibly, there's a belief that the clouds were taken from the form of the dragon. And then we can see up here at the top, we have these little clouds as well. On the vase, we have some more clouds. Now, on the right-hand side, we have some cloud work, which we're going to do today as well. So you get your hand ready. These are considered to be Turkish style, but there is a lot of visual cues that have been shared from the Safavid and the Timurid miniature styles as well. This is one of my favorites. So this is a detail from the Miraj of the Prophet, so the ascension of the Prophet through the 7 heavens. You can see there isn't a shortage of clouds anywhere. In this, we just have 2 angels, and we can see the wings of some of the angels over here and over here. This was made in 1492. It's at the Freer Sackler Gallery at the moment. So a few reasons why I wanted to show you this one. One, the really wonderful colors of the clouds. So they're not just blue and white and purple. We have this really beautiful orange pinky color and this yellow ochre color. So when you're adding your clouds, if you decide to add clouds to your piece, remember that we don't need to be afraid of color. Also, you can see a difference in the cloud bands. So you can see that the forms that are connecting the actual concentration of the fluffy cloud is quite thin and elongated and gives a lot of movement. And you'll see in the next kind of examples that there are different styles of clouds. So that's something to be aware of too. So we have our Timurid cloud bowl, which is approximately from 1400 to 1499. And this is one that I've taught this pattern before actually with different workshops, but you can see that this cloud band, although similar in the movement, is very different in how it looks. And And it's basically the same time period. So if we look back here, we have some of those similar shapes, but I would say this one is much more smooth and you know, refined. And then we have this one on our bowl here, where you can see that the hand was faster. And that's just usually what happens with ceramics. But we have this like cluster of clouds here in the center. And then if we move forward a little bit in time by about 50, 60 years, we have this Islamic cloud band, which is a border tile. This one, I'm not exactly sure where this specific one was taken, but you can find this one all over Istanbul, all over Edirne, which was another capital of the Ottoman Empire. And both of them are in the Museum of Islamic Art in Doha at the moment. And this one, you can see the symmetry that starts to come into place. There's a definite system that has been put in place, a flow of the clouds, which you don't see so much in other styles. And this brings us to Leighton House again, trying to bring this full circle. So we have our, I believe the Kubachi tile is just to the right of this on the back wall. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlotte, I'm not sure. But I believe it's on the back wall. And inside of these leaves that we have here, these Damascene tiles, we have cloud bands. I didn't bring this photo closer because we have William de Morgan's sketch of the same tiles. So I wanted to share both of those. This
Here,
is
you can watch my class, Deb, on Islamic art. Yeah, I'm missing it.
Sorry,
It's okay, I muted it.
maybe mind just muting, just check that you're on mute. And if you have any questions, just put those in the chat. Thanks.
So just quickly here, we have a British arts and crafts movement artist, William de Morgan, sketching the Damascene tiles inside of Leighton House. So this isn't the exact match, but it is similar and from the same time period. And it's a nice little watercolor sketch. Are there any questions so far?
Yeah, there are a couple of questions, Laura. I was just waiting for a good...
Sure, yeah.
So there is a question about whether or not the colours from the manuscripts would have faded or not. And also, what do the clouds represent? Is there any significance in the designs of the clouds?
I'll answer the symbolic reference first. Now, there's a few ideas around it. There is one where, I don't know, I'm strangely not comfortable to like say that this is the thing, but some people align it with the breath or spirit of God, but I don't necessarily like ascribe to that belief. But what I find really interesting is that in a lot of the miniatures, you have the clouds kind of going around the characters. And I wonder if it's supposed to kind of, and they're usually religious analogies or anecdotes or stories or whatever you want to call them. And it's usually in those stories that you have these clouds that are surrounding the different prophets or different characters. So I wonder if that has something to try to explain a very spiritual situation happening. But then you can get some other clouds that are just like clouds in the sky, which you can get different characters, you know, Sultan Suleiman, and he has clouds at the top of the miniature that aren't, you know, swirling around him. I don't know. Ayesha, do you have anything to add to that?
I don't know about symbolism of the clouds. I mean, I think the explanation that you give about it representing the divine spirit or something, I think that may well be true. It sounds like it. Thinking back to the miniatures with sort of prophetic figures, or they do tend to be surrounded by clouds. So yeah, potentially that could be a reason why. I haven't heard anything about it myself or looked into it very much.
Yeah.
But with the whether or not the colours are faded, my understanding is that I don't think that they have faded very much, because the manuscripts were quite protected, because they were closed books, so they weren't exposed very much to the light. And as long as they were kept away from the light and away from water and fire, most of the colours I think are quite well preserved, apart from something like silver, which tarnishes and goes black over time. And a few of the other colours, sometimes if you have sometimes they react against one another and they can sort of change each other's colour, but often also the miniaturists knew which colours reacted against each other, and so they would separate them when they used them in manuscripts and have like sort of neutral colours in between which didn't react to each other. So I think they're fairly accurate, maybe a little bit of changing, but I don't think a huge amount.
There are also recipe books that exist, or handbooks that exist for the artists who are working in manuscripts, where it gives recipes on how to create certain colors. So it was handed down within the Nakashane, within the actual like kind of court painting house, so to speak, that would give an instruction. And then even at the same time, there's something called, I think it's called the Craftsman Handbook. There's even warnings, like if you mix this with this, this will happen. And because these are prized possessions, also the manuscripts, they wouldn't have risked something happening. Now, a friend of mine is a paper conservator here in Istanbul, and that's the bigger problem, is paper, especially before, when it was made from cotton or different materials, not from tree, not paper pulp. It is more, it can rot or it can mold easier. The moisture can get trapped in it more, and that's usually the problem, more so than the colors. Any other question?
Maybe not questions as such, but maybe just a few comments, that perhaps the clouds represent heaven or divine guidance. Something Nadia has mentioned, the ruh, which is the spirit, or I think the soul.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say what I was trying to say, maybe it didn't come out right, is there's a animating of God that is kind of contrary to the culture and religion that it's coming from. That's what I was trying to say, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well enough. All right, so the last slide that I have here is of a few different arches. We have one on the left is from Jaipur, and we have the one on the right from Cordoba. My apologies for the kind of crummy Cordoba photo, but you get the idea. Now, in the one that we're going to look at today from the original here, we're actually going to draw this by hand. Because I want it to be extra fun. But I wanted to show you some different examples. Now, what's interesting though is that it's believed that these tiles that we're looking at, the Kubachi tiles, are coming from Isfahan, and this actual shape of dome, you don't see in Isfahan as much, or in Iran in general. They have some very specific domes that are iconic for that reason. So I found that very interesting, that this little kind of tepelic form is in this tile, which is going to make it all the more fun to recreate. So just one last look. This one is much more florated, much more scalloped than the one that we're working on today. But I can assure you that it isn't so difficult to make once you've done one half. So we have taken up enough time doing this. And I'm just going to spotlight myself. There we go. All right. So here's our handout for today. And we are going to look at making the arch. Actually, you guys can decide first. Which would you like to do first, the clouds or the arch?
Oh, I wonder, maybe people could, if I go to the gallery, you could, okay, if you want to do the clouds, raise your hand by using the reactions.
And they've hired these two girls. So one of them is a ceramic artist from Turkey, and the other one is a miniature artist. And they teach this together.
We've just, somebody needs to mute their microphone. Sorry,
It's
just
okay. I found it. It's okay.
Oh, thank you. So let's see, how many have we got for, this is for the arch, right?
Yeah. Arches.
3, 4.
You love arches more, but you haven't done the clouds yet, Amal.
Okay, I think we've got four people.
Well, we're gonna have to do them either
clouds. So if
Huh?
you try, how many people have we? How many vote for clouds?
I only see 2 or 3. Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Oops.
I think clouds wins.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna warm up our hands with clouds. So we'll do a warm up, and then we'll do a warm up. So if you have printed out the handout, you will see right here at the bottom. It's very hard to actually explain visually how to make these clouds. It's much better if I can give a actual demonstration. So if we have here, we have a circle, and within half of the circle, we have another circle, and within half of that circle, we have another circle. So that's basically how you make a spiral. So keep that in mind. We don't have to do the circle inside of the circle, but we're going to start with making spirals. So and you can see one of our figures' little feet. CESE. Practice.
ICE.
I always remember principal and principal because the principal is supposed to be your pal. It was never my case. They were never my pal, but okay. So first thing I want you to start doing is just draw a spiral. I'm gonna bring this a little closer, everyone. There we go. And we just start by making just warm up your hand. And don't judge this process. If your spirals don't look like mine, they're bigger, smaller, doesn't matter. Just warm up your hand. Okay. Do a few more, and then we'll start with a little baby cloud. So let me move my page up a little bit over here. It doesn't matter which way you do them. Clockwise, anti-clockwise, doesn't matter. If you want to do it the other way, it'll probably depend on if you're right or left-handed too. Or if you're, might be a good exercise for the brain if you do them the opposite direction. Okay, so, and you'll probably have one way that you're more comfortable with than the other. I definitely do. I'm gonna take the spiral. Before I come all the way around, I'm gonna add a little fluffy part like that. And then another one. Sometimes you'll even have, this one I'm going to show you is very Islamic. Like this. You see this a lot in the Islamic work. And you can start playing with how many times you want to go around. Move my page over here. So for example, I have and I'm going to add a little wispy tail. Like so. There's a few examples I found that are little clouds on top of clouds, like the one I'm drawing now.
Laurelie, maybe would you be able to shift the page over a little because you're just got, yeah, that's it. You're just going off slightly. Thanks.
Let me think. I'm looking for a few different examples that I've drawn. What else can we do? Huh. Okay. So on the page I made on the handout, I divided it into small, medium, and large clouds. And what I mean by that is the complexity. So you can have them all, but have them very complex. I mean more like there's only one little cloud and a little trail, and so on and so forth. So let's try another one. Let's see here. This will be a little different. We'll do the bump first. And then we curl in here. Then we have another curl here. And we'll go out like so. That's one version. And usually what I end up doing is I will, after I'm very happy with the clouds I make, I will trace them onto tracing paper. So when I'm trying to organize them on my page, I can kind of see how they look and I can change the directions. Yeah, that's mainly what I like to do there. So then, let's see here. Start with the spiral. And we're going to come out from here.
I like how you started with templates to begin with, Laurelie, and how you're sort of encouraging people to go more freehand this lesson.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just, there we go. Yeah, I mean, with the clouds, do you mean with the clouds or with the workshop in general?
With the workshops in general.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, because there's so many different things that can that you can do with this, and I think it's really important to make Islamic art accessible and understood, and also something that, I mean, both of us have been through a traditional art training, and that's not, like, let's be honest, it's not accessible to everyone, right? Not everyone has the time or the money or the location or, you know, whatever the situation may be. So I'm very happy to try to. You didn't freeze.
It did freeze a little bit while you were drawing the cloud that you just drawn. So
okay,
yeah,
I'll redraw it.
asking if you wouldn't mind redrawing it.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull it off again.
Strangely, we still had the audio, but the screen just sort of stopped for a few seconds, I think, while
because
you were
the audio is coming from my laptop,
not
from my phone. Okay, give me 1 second. So yeah, I wanted to make it a friendly kind of approach, especially with miniature painting. I think a lot of people in the beginning didn't realize that the supports would be given, because, you know, drawing figures is not an easy thing. That's regardless true. Of what style you're doing, right? Okay, so this one again, right?
Yes, please, thank you.
Okay. So I did my curl first, and it comes down, and then I have another kind of bump. Now I go back to this here again, and I come out 1, 2, 3. This should actually come in closer, but it's okay. And then another thing that you have in the Persian styles, you'll get, or the Safavid, sorry, you'll get these kind of lines, and you'll get different colors that they put inside. Let me see. Did I do that one? No, I didn't do that one. Okay, I have another one we can do. So I'm going to bring a curl in again with this. And then we're going to there we go. And you can basically just keep going. Let's see here. You can do one that's kind of more on an oval than a circle. And I'll explain to you why in a second. I'm just trying to make a decision about my shapes. Okay, so I've done an oval and then a smaller oval up here on the top right corner. Not that an oval has a corner, but I think you get what I mean. So now we will kind of sketch in all right.
Oh, I think it looks like your phone camera froze again, Laurelie.
I don't understand why this keeps happening. Is it still frozen?
No, it's okay now. Now I can see you. It just freezes for a few seconds.
What I've noticed, actually, maybe if you can not let me have the host capabilities, because it's like as certain kind of things come in, it's like stopping it.
Okay, I will.
Let's try that and see if that helps. And then sometimes on these kind of curls here, you can add a little kind of.
Okay, so you're not host anymore.
Okay.
So just if you need the camera switch, then just let me know.
Sure, no problem.
Also, there are a few people with their
So we
cameras still
have-
on, which also affects things. So if you could just please make sure that your camera is turned off, that would be great.
All right. So, all right, so we're gonna leave this for a minute. Well, maybe slightly longer than a minute. We are going to do our arches, and then you're gonna choose your clouds that you like to put on your arches. And then I'll show you some painting techniques. So here is a lovely look at our male and female characters beside each other inside of the arches. This should be available to you guys as a download. Let me know if it's not, and I'll make sure that that goes in the actual drive. I can't remember, I'm sorry. And then here we have them empty at the moment. So as I have written on the actual handout, this arch can be made on any size paper. It doesn't matter if you're working, if you're just working on A4 and you want to put 2 on A4, or if you want to be on A3 or on A5, whatever, it doesn't matter. This can all be done. You just have to divide your paper in the same way, and you'll get something proportionally the same. So what I want you to do first is whatever size paper you're working on. Now I'm going to give instructions for A3, but whatever size paper you are working on, divide the page in half and then in half again. So we're going to be working with quarters. It's 42, right? Yeah. So if you're working on A3, you will do 21 in the center. Just making sure on that. Yes. And then 10.5. All right. And then from the bottom, you're going to draw up on these two, not this middle line, on these two, mark 15 centimeters.
So Laurelie, just somebody's asking about the measurement. So it was 21 to split the page in half, but that would be different, I think, for
Exactly.
each person. So there isn't an exact measurement. If you're using A3, the measurement halfway up the page, if you're holding it landscape, is 21. But that would be, that's going to be different if you're using A4. So it depends on what size paper you've got. Yeah, exactly. So just split the page into 4 quarters.
And is it frozen for you or no?
Just move. Are you moving? No, it's frozen.
Ayesha.
Hello.
Yeah.
I think your phone screen is frozen, Laurelie, because it's your hands aren't moving.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. What the heck's going on here? What about now?
You need to put your hands on there or something, because or else I can't tell.
It is. It is. That's the problem. It is
Oh no,
there.
it doesn't look like there's anything there. Just your ruler and your
Okay.
and your sheet of paper.
Okay.
All right, it's sort of starting again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing things again.
Okay. All right. So, my apologies, everyone. So basically, if you're not working on A3, this line is almost halfway. This 15-centimeter line that I asked you to put a notch for, that's basically halfway. So if you're working on A4 and you're doing it widthwise, then you would do half of whatever that is. Now, from the midpoint, I just lightly put in a dash, and this is going to help me just make sure that my arch is in the right place. And the light is not helping with this.
Laurelie, do you think you could move the page a bit higher up, please?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Thanks. I'm wondering also, can the camera come a bit closer or not?
It can come closer, but I don't think that's going to help. You're not going to be able to see everything. Give me 1 second. I'm going to put in with a darker.
That might help.
Yeah.
So just to, if you can't see, just to explain over again, that the diagonal line goes from the center line, the center vertical line, till halfway up the line to the right. So she's just drawing it darker for you.
All right. So now I'm going to draw in. Basically everything will be contained. There might be a little tiny corner outside here on the bottom, but almost everything for the arch will be inside of this triangle. So the first one I draw, I go right up to the top and I come down. And we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, and then we have another tepelic form on the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, come to that diagonal line, and that can be fixed up after. I think mine's a little just overzealous, a tiny bit. And then we come in. Like so. So I'm going to put that in marker. Okay. And then we double up the line. So we follow along like so. That's the first part. Now the next part is the columns. So on either side, one quick second. On either side, you're going to have 1 centimeter. And you're going to draw that line up and it's going to touch the bottom of this shape. So it's like this kind of, it's actually in Turkish, it's called tepelek form. So this shape is like sitting inside of the column, like so. And then we have a border that's basically the same width as that. So it's about 3 mil. There we go. Now, when you're transferring this to your page, or if you're drawing it directly onto watercolor, erase this line in the middle once you've got all of your arches, because it's just going to be a flat space. Now, my tracing paper, which I did take out. Interesting. Oh, I see it. Sorry, I see it. All right, so you'll need a piece of tracing paper that's going to cover the size of the arch. And the thing I like to do too is just as a kind of marker, just so I know when I flip it where to position it, I just put my vertical and horizontal line. Okay, I've traced over. And now, look at that. Yeah, it looks like I need to just extend my lines a tiny bit. Now I am going to do pencil on the back too. I'm not going to just rub it because I need the opposite side also. So very slowly go over it here. And then we just do that for the remaining spaces also. Yeah, we're almost at break time, aren't we?
Yes, 3 minutes.
So finish up transferring.
Laura, you're a little bit off camera again.
Yeah, I only have so
Okay.
much desk space.
Yeah,
So
sure.
let's see. And then the final bit. Okay.
So we just it's just gone 6 o'clock. So just to let you know that we're halfway through.
All right. So now is the time to take a break, to shake your legs, to get some tea or some water, and then come back here for I don't know, 6:10. or 10 minutes after the hour, wherever you are. Okay, I will see you in a few. Yeah.
So enjoy your break, everyone. Please be back here at 10 past. And yeah, get a cup of tea or coffee, stretch your legs, give your eyes a rest, and we'll meet you here at 10 past 6. Thank you.
Ooh. And I'm just going to try to fix this internet situation. Let's see. Let's see if it happens again.
I wonder, do you think, if it's too much of a hassle and if you don't think it's worth it, then don't worry. But I wonder if you could, maybe if the camera could be landscape, would that be your phone camera, if you could make it landscape, that might show a bit more of what you're doing.
I did just change it. No, 1 second. 1 second. Why is that happening? There we go.
Yeah, I think that's better.
And I'm just checking the internet, like, because my phone camera is fine. Is it still
Move your hand.
frozen?
You moving your hand? It's frozen if you're unless your hand is still. No, it's frozen. It comes and goes. It's not all the time, but just every now and again.
The last time I turned on my data, that's why. I prefer not to, but I mean, if it's gonna keep doing that, I will, obviously. Okay. Let's see here. And I have my ladies and gents from last week. The other ones are on somewhere else in the studio.
Oh, they're beautiful.
I need to get. It looks a little, worse for wear. This paper.
Yeah.
Pun intended, obviously. But yeah, I started doing some of the shading last week on some aspects of his clothes. I'm very invested in this project, as you can see.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So.
And what do you have next week?
Oh yeah, we have flowers, and I'm gonna add in trees.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
like little bushes, actually, not trees. Yeah. Well, I just saw what Marty wrote. Marty, if you missed them, I'm not sure, and no pressure, Charlotte. Have the classes gone up on YouTube yet?
Not yet. We had a few technical hiccups, but they will be going up shortly. And we're recording this one this evening as well, and next week too. So apologies to everybody who's waiting patiently for them to go up.
No problem at all. They'll get there when the time's right. But in the meantime, in the Google Drive, there are links to the handouts. So you can definitely follow along with that. Because the project actually, this is a secret, but now everyone knows, this project was actually first, or it was tailored to be able to use, to be able to be done with kids who don't have access to the online classes that we're giving. So I wanted to make it easy for them to use. So I gave them this here, which everyone in this class got also for adults. So I'm sure you could follow along. I'm sure you could follow along easily. But yeah, I'm thinking I'm actually going to cut my figures out and do some kind of collage. I haven't decided exactly how, but that's the plan, Stan.
So collage onto a larger piece of paper.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do something with the backgrounds. Maybe I will do a few different layers. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. But oh yes, and next week we're also going to do the porcelain figures, which is not so difficult, but I'll show you a few kind of hacks to make them look actually like porcelain.
Should be interesting.
Yeah, and I have the blue lady somewhere in the studio. I can't find at the moment, but she's around. The other figure. And while we're waiting for everyone to come back, I treated myself to this little friend here. It's a handmade sketchbook watercolor journal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I prepped some pages for our, yes, you can upload images. Yeah, if you look on the side, there's a file button.
Yes.
I prepped some pages for some clouds. So.
Oh, that's such a lovely idea. How gorgeous. I
know, I didn't plan on this. The paper is really nice.
Yeah, the paper just kind of calls for it, doesn't it?
Again, another. It does. And because I'm extra, I got the ones that have gold on the pages. So yes, I'm gonna do some watercolor clouds with you guys today in this friend. What else?
Charlotte, is there an email address that that the students can use if they want to email their pictures, their images? Because not everyone can upload to the chat.
Oh, they're very, very welcome to send them to me. So I'll put that in the chat now. Yes, please do send them through. Here we go. I was going to mention the project actually. So Laurelie, the boxes for children. You might have seen, some of you might have seen the news go out today on our social media about these Time for Art boxes, and they're going to children and young people who live around Leighton House and who maybe can't access virtual learning at home, or maybe art materials are prohibitive for their families to buy them as well. And both Laurelie and Ayesha have created the most lovely original art projects for these boxes. So keep an eye on our social media and you'll see some of their amazing work being showcased. Yes, I see that you saw Susan. Yeah, we're very, very excited about it, and they're very special boxes, and that's very much in part because of Laurelie and Ayesha's work on them. So thank you both.
No, I really enjoyed doing them. I don't know about you, Ayesha, but I think they were really fun to do.
It was very fun. It took me back to my childhood, and I think it was sort of like the 8-year-old me making these activity sheets.
Well, I have the paper vase here. I can share quickly, and then we'll get back to work, because I think this one is so much fun, but I may be biased. But this was kind of trying to recreate the Damascene vases that are in Leighton House's tiles. So let me see if I can try to make this happen.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, so we've got tulips and carnations and daisies. So, and then we have a nice special vase on the bottom. So And the cat loves this thing.
I can't wait for the. We are hoping that we'll start to see some of the work produced by the children and young people who got the boxes. So we'll be sharing. So I'm looking forward to seeing their vases, Laurelie, seeing how they've worked with the project.
All right. So I think everyone is back.
Yes.
So in my head is let's crack on. I don't know why it's stuck in my head. I was talking to my dad today. That must be why. Charlotte, yeah, she's gonna answer it.
Which is
okay,
the one about sharing the worksheets?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing at the moment is just for a short period of time, you might have noticed with the boxes that they had a big bow around them and so on. So we're giving them as gifts to children, who have been experiencing, very difficult times and maybe living quite difficult circumstances. So we wanted them to be quite special and unique just for them, for this window. So at the moment, these lovely worksheets aren't available, but I think probably September we're going to share them with everybody. So Becky, just keep an eye. We are going to start sharing them widely, and we'd love for your children to work with them too. So it's just this brief period of time when we're just going to keep them very specially just for the children who receive the boxes.
Thank you very much, Charlotte. So I want to look just quickly at, let me see here. Okay, here is our Kubachi tile panel from Leighton House. And you can see there's some very specific cloud motifs. Sorry, the glare is horrible. My apologies. So we have these clouds here, and then we have a few different kind of swirling clouds. They're all symmetrical. Now, as Ayesha pointed out today, the classes that I've developed for this time are very suited to the artist, meaning I want you to make lots of different artistic decisions instead of just following exactly what the panel has done, because I'd like to make artists from these classes. It would be nice to see what you guys can come up with yourself. So taking some of the clouds that you have drawn yourself, or you can copy from my handout as well. If you like one that I haven't shown, for example, feel free. Now, we're gonna do a placement, and I can show you how I do it, which, I mean, it won't be such a surprise, but I'll show you how I kind of make some decisions. So I'm gonna draw this one here that I've drawn previously. And then from the page that I did my drawings with you earlier, let's see, I like this one. Okay, so I have 3 different ones to play with for now. And then what I do is I kind of play with the direction.
It's a very basic version of Photoshop.
Very basic version of Photoshop. And when you're used to using tracing paper and different elements, I have to say, as someone who uses Photoshop and Illustrator and After Effects and a few different other softwares, I prefer tracing paper. It's quite sad.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like, yeah, but I can do it with tracing paper. And let me see, I'm gonna use something else other than my finger now to transfer. I'm sorry for the sound in advance. I know this grates on some people's teeth, so my apologies, but it's necessary. There we go. Do you use clouds in your work, Ayesha?
Not as much as I could, actually. I have used clouds before. I've used clouds in my illuminations before. I think I could probably use more. And I've used them in some of my illustrations as well, but not necessarily the very classical ones that you're doing. I'm
Yeah.
just, actually, but watching you, I'm thinking I should really tap into these motifs a bit more because they are so rich and so beautiful. And you know, it's with everything in the Islamic motifs. You know, you look at one aspect like the clouds or the flowers, and each one is like a little universe in itself. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
which is it's just fascinating. So yeah, you've got me inspired to start using more clouds.
Yeah, because it makes me think of your birds and your constellations. And
yes, I think there will be definitely some clouds creeping into those paintings. Sure.
And I like how the clouds kind of have a mind of their own and
Yeah.
do their own thing.
Well, actually, the way you were sort of putting some lines in them before, and it reminded me a bit of water as well. You know?
The motifs for water and the motifs for clouds are quite similar. Well, some of them, like there's a lot of like around the rims of Isnic plates, you'll have the kind of curls, right? They call it the snail motif. But that snail motif, when you extend it and connect them, becomes a cloud. That's interesting.
I like very much what I like about the clouds and the water and those sort of motifs is that I think in something that can be quite structured and maybe sometimes a little bit rigid in the designs, it's really nice to have a free flowing sort of spontaneous element like that. And I think the clouds help to sort of free the design a bit and give movement.
Yeah, you're right about that. And even some like I really like the Safavid clouds and the Timurid clouds because they are much more free form. And you can tell that there's much more of the artist's hand in them and they just kind of, go along and do their own thing. And I noticed that in the Ottoman style miniature, sometimes, not always, you can get really, really structured clouds. And it's not my favorite. The work needs breathing space.
Yes, I agree.
So I'm just kind of drawing a few free hands here. So it's up to you if you want to do the exact same in the other location or not. But I would like to do some painting with you, especially since we've got 40 minutes. And I don't know about where you live, but we have started a third or fourth, I don't know at this point, lockdown. So I think as much as some students might need somewhere to put their mind. So if you can see here in the one that in the handout I made, I put some kind of painterly clouds in some sections up here by the clouds word, some in here and down here at the bottom. And I just tried to keep everything very airy, if that makes any sense. So we're going to try to recreate that together. Now, as I was saying before, in this lovely little book I've got here, that I have prepped some paper with some colors. So this one is dry for me. I'm going to go through some different color choices that you can work with to have a background for your clouds. You can choose it to match your theme. So maybe your sky in each kind of area is a little different based on whatever theme you chose. Since I chose weather, it makes it very easy for me to play around with the clouds. But maybe I'll try to make it darker in the area where I have Mrs. Lightning versus heat, for example. So let's see what we can get to here. I am going to get a piece of paper. Sorry. So what you're going to need is water, your watercolors, brushes, and some watercolor paper. Now, this doesn't have to be the final watercolor paper for your arches. It can be, but this can also be somewhere where you're experimenting. I have enough paper. Yes, I do. Okay. I am just securing my page a bit. And hopefully you have a fluffy brush. So I've got a few choices here. And in this case, the fluffier the better, because when you've got a thinner brush, you're going to see the strokes more, and we want it, you know, fluffy, if you get what I mean. We want it cloud-like. So this brush I haven't used yet, so the starch is pretty, I don't know. All right, I'll work with this one. As always, my palette is, you know, a little worse for wear, but I've got some indigo here. I have some turquoise here. I have some purple here, and I have some pink. And there was one other color I wanted to add. What was it? Here it is. So I think I was talking about this last week, this mineral violet color that I have from that Polish company. And it has this ability to just kind of, I don't know, like almost like a chameleon. It just changes on its own. I don't even know how to explain it.
Interesting. Is that a pigment or is it a watercolor?
It's watercolor. It is mixed with lapis and madder and something else. I can't remember. It's written on the website exactly what the mix is. So I think the pigments don't exactly bind together in their color, but they kind of create an optical illusion. Like,
So it has a kind of iridescence to it.
no,
No.
you actually see the two different pigments kind of sitting on top of each other.
Interesting.
Yeah. So sometimes it looks a little bit more blue, sometimes it looks a little more pink than purple. So I'll play with that. Now I'm going to, you can try this. I don't know how many of you are watercolorists. So I'm going to apply some water down on my page. And I'm going to do it on half. I'm going to do one dry and one wet. There we go. Yes, I know they're on promotion at Jackson's, and I had already bought my watercolors and had them. They're coming with a friend to Istanbul from London, so I couldn't justify getting more. Yeah, I can understand. They're beautiful colors. Okay. So now I'm just letting the colors do their own thing. Sometimes I will.
There is a question for you, Laurelie, about the colours here of the arch. Ali is asking, is there a principle for choosing the colour palette for the arch? Furthermore, should it be comparable with the colour palette of Islamic architecture? I think it should be related to Islamic architecture, colour palettes or tiles, I think.
Okay, so I think I kind of answered this question last week, or I touched on it, meaning when we're looking at the ceramics, there's definite limitations in what colors were available to be used. So in the artwork itself, I believe it is yellow. Yeah, it's yellow, and the background is cobalt. These are two very, very widely used colors throughout the region, not just Islamic art based, you know, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Zoroastrians would all use these kind of colors because it's the technology that was available at that time. Does that answer your question?
I think I think they're talking more about, is there sort of a principle for choosing their own color palette? I think.
Oh.
I think that's what was meant. Sort of any advice that you would have.
Okay. That's like almost choosing. It's like choosing your wardrobe almost. Meaning, I guess I'm coming at this from the artist perspective. I am a traditional artist as well, but I veer away from traditional palettes, not because I don't like them, but because they've already been done. So I like to kind of do something new. So I'm not going to give you the answer you want.
I think that's make your own choice.
Yeah, choose it yourself.
That's what Laurelie is trying to say. Make your own choice. Have a look at what you have, I suppose, in your what you've already used for your male and female figures, and maybe you could do something contrasting to that. You could do something harmonious with that. You could pick out 1 or 2 colors from that palette and reflect them in your arch, and then have a couple of other colors. So it's endless, really, I think.
It's a very hard question, Ali. Seriously.
Yeah.
So if you can, I don't know if it's coming.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, you should trust yourself.
Yeah,
sure. It's not showing it, but you can see the blue speckles on top of the pink over here, and it's just one pigment or just one paint. I don't know.
No, I don't think I can, for me, it looks like purple.
It is purple, but it's the optical illusion is created because the blue is on top of the pink pigment. It's really interesting.
I wonder, maybe we can see it better once it dries.
Yeah, maybe. And I have a space heater in here, so I like to use that to make it dry faster. And then okay, and now I'm going to do one that's more just blues and turquoise. And I'm using indigo and a turquoise. And if you, I'm not sure how many are in the class from the weekend class, but we did a whole class on using indigo paint and West African textiles. Mm-hmm. So this is the same color. If you're in that class, I'm reusing what's in my palette.
I actually think it's just very useful and fascinating just watching you doing different watercolor techniques. I
spend a shocking amount of time playing with watercolor. Mm-hmm. When I move this to put it beside the heater that's beside me, I'll show you some of the different techniques that I use. I have something actually sitting right here. You can use drawing gum or masking fluid, depending on where you come from. You can use salt. Salt is a really, really wonderful kind of effect you can get. You can use acetone or bleach, wax. I don't know. It's endless. And then you can put different materials on top of watercolor. Watercolor is a really fantastic base for almost anything.
Nikki is asking, have you ever blown bubbles with the paint?
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah. And also you can, when you put ink on watercolor and you can blow it with a straw, then you get some really interesting effects. No, this isn't the last class. There's one more in this series. And then is it June, Ayesha, for yours?
Oh, is it May or is it June? I can't remember now, but I have a set of classes coming up as well later this year.
Yeah.
So we have a break and then mine start in the summer, and it's also 4 sessions. I think it's May.
Yes, May.
Okay. So is it May?
Yeah.
Why did I think it
No,
was
actually,
June?
and I haven't decided yet what to teach. So if anyone has any suggestions or requests, then just put them in the chat and we can have a look at them.
So just quickly before we move on to adding, here is some of the techniques you can do with watercolor. So this here is resist. These two are drawing gum. This is salt, which has got a really, really pretty look to it. This is also salt, but crystals of salt. This is multiple layers on top of each other. This is acetone. So yeah, there's lots you can do.
Wonderful.
Freehand calligraphy. Are you up for the challenge?
I don't know any I don't know any calligraphy, so that would be a really interesting class. But I do love the birds, the animals, and the trees. I mean, those are all things I love painting anyway. So that could be a lot of fun.
Okay. So I'm gonna. Now I'm going to switch to a thinner brush, a 2, because you guys know my aversion to anything smaller. And where is my trusty? You know, you might have a box full of brushes and there's like 3 you use out of the 20 you have. It's really ridiculous. Is it the same for you?
Sorry, I was just answering a question. What was that, Laurelie?
No, that page is from a different class I was teaching. If she's talking about the watercolors. Okay, so by the magic of television, we magically have dry and on different paper backgrounds ready for me to put some of my clouds on. This page.
Oh, I think she's asking if that page is from the children's box, which it's not.
Or is it? No, it's not. In any case, anything you've seen today it's not on the children. It's not related to the children's project. Okay, so now I am going to take my, I'm going to take my clouds and I'm going to transfer them.
There is a question about ceramics, Laurelie. Somebody's asking that they say they've got white ceramic tiles they'd like to paint on, and does the surface need to be prepared with anything?
I don't know anything about your ceramic tiles, so I can't give any. Yeah, because they could be white and they need to have a base coat of glaze.
Or maybe they could give us a bit more information about the tile. So
We need more information. I'm gonna add one more.
oh, maybe if you could just move the sketchbook a bit further up, we could see the rest. Thank you.
For now, I'm just gonna do these two. Now, you can approach this in two different ways. You can put some background colors if you want to change that from whatever your background is. If you want your cloud to be different, now would be the time to put in that. And you would like to you should put in a kind of thin wash of whatever color that is, and you slowly bring it up. Now, for the sake of this class, and for you to be able to see what I'm doing, I'm gonna put the outline first. I really like doing outline work. You know, sometimes you like the stuff that you're good at. So I'll be honest, that's how I feel about outlines. I know, but you know what I mean, right? You're like, I've got no, I'm very straightforward today. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to these clouds, you can add in different blocks or layers of color. I realized
the outlining, I think, is very meditative. That's why I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is a little bit more information about these tiles, and they're just saying that they're bathroom tiles, and the surface has a glossy finish on it, not matte.
Yeah, no, you can't do anything with those.
Mm.
They've already been glossed, so you can't really do anything. Like, you could use them for mixing watercolor or ceramic paints on top as a kind of palette, but there's not much more you can do with those. They've already been fired. They already have their top coat. I'm sorry. What did I do here? Sorry, I'm trying to reference my picture. Now I'll find the other one.
saying that you make the outlining look easier than what it is.
Well, I had a lot of, when I first started on ceramic, it was really, really difficult because ceramic is so porous and so absorbent. So every, half center you move, it would have sucked up all of the paint. So when you train for a long time doing very detailed work on ceramic, you got to learn to be fast and just take advantage of whatever paint that you have on the brush and try to make it go as far as possible. So I can honestly say that my outlining abilities have come because of my ceramics training.
I can see that in your work, because even looking at the handouts that you prepared and the sort of resources that you've been making, I can tell that you work fast, whereas I work very slow.
Really?
Yeah, I can tell. By looking at someone.
Or a bad thing?
Sorry? No, it's a good thing. I'm envious because I'm extremely slow.
I understand what you mean now. Well, you take a course with me, you'll.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, have you ever tried the Islamic ceramics? Have you ever tried to do them? Like on the actual, correct?
No, I've never done that before.
It's a really, I'll be honest, it's an annoyance. Really, it is. Like when you're used to working with pen or paint or something like that, it is like you feel like a child that doesn't know what to do with their hands. And it was a really steep learning curve. And I saw the question about my brush.
Yes.
It's a size 2, and it's a Kolinsky brush from Rublev. It's a Russian brand. It was Irina who got me hooked on these brushes. The iconographer. Yeah.
Yes. How do you spell that? So that I've got Kolinsky, but what was the brand?
Rublev. ROUBLOFF.
BLO?
OFF.
Okay.
Now, I know they don't sell direct, or at least they didn't, within the past year, but you can check to see who's selling them in the area you live in. Okay, so I got my clouds outlined. So now I'm gonna add in and you can play around with these clouds until your heart is content, seriously. And I've got some white gouache here. Well, kind of. It's in a mess on my palette. Yeah, it's not white anymore. So let's see here. Is it gonna show up? No, it doesn't show up. So one of the things I like to do also is I like to paint with white. If you took the previous Leighton House classes with me, so the first one, we did a class called Cloud Watching. And in that handout, there's a lot of clouds painted in white. So let's see if you can see this one I'm going to paint now. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, we can see that. And you've used white gouache there.
Yes. Well, it's kind of off-white. It's light blue.
Mm.
Because it's surrounded by indigo paint. It's just, we're
So
working with what we got.
yeah. The reason why that will work, just for people who are not familiar with gouache and watercolor, is because gouache paint is opaque, watercolor is transparent, even though they're both water-based. So you can put a light color of gouache on top of a darker color of watercolor, or any darker color, and it should show.
Yeah, generally it should. Yeah. And gouache works pretty much the same way that watercolor does. So it will bleed and it will feather if a lot of water is added to it. So it can be interesting to use watercolor and gouache together and getting different levels of transparency and opacity.
So Sarah's just asking, and I think the answer is yes. So we paint the whole background first and then let it dry and then paint over it.
Yes, that would be the best way to do it. Yeah. If you want your clouds to be white, then you could paint around them if you like put your clouds down on the surface first, then paint around them. But it'll be a little bit more, you won't necessarily get as organic of kind of effect, but it'll still look nice. Okay, I think we're at time.
Yeah, we've just got 5 or 6 minutes left.
So, any last questions?
So there was a question about correcting mistakes, which I've just tried to answer in the chat. Zaina, who's using watercolor pencils, says she finds it hard to do multiple layers of color, but I think you should still be able to, even with watercolor pencils. So I think what I would do is just shade very lightly with your pencil, and then take a brush with clean water and reconstitute the color. So make it into a paint with the water. And you can, once it's dry, you can put another layer of color on top of that.
I had something happen with one of my watercolor pencils where the lead broke off, like just off the end. And if you can see here, I just put it on the plate, and I've been using using it as a normal paint almost. So if you're really having an issue, you can kind of just take that kind of piece of the pigmented lead off and put it on your palette and add water, and it will it'll be basically a watercolor paint.
And then there's is it okay to outline with a pen, or is this cheating?
No, go ahead. I mean, like, I'm really trying to drive home, like, this, we are looking at traditional techniques, we are using some of them, we are appreciating all of them, but I really want you to explore this from your perspective and from your level of creativity. Do you know how to cut out, like do you know how to cut out your clouds and stick them into the arches? So I have transferred my clouds actually with tracing paper. I haven't cut them out. So, I mean, I imagine you could just cut the paper out. if that's what you wanted to do. So let me can you give me screen share access?
I think that's going to have to be Charlotte who does that.
I'm doing that now.
Thank you.
Give me one quick second.
So if we can ask everyone just to stay on until the end, and when we're finished, just to please turn on your cameras and share your work with us, because we would love to see it.
Okay. Here we go.
So this marks the end of the session, session 3. Thank you everyone for joining us. We would love to see your work on social media. So if you'd like to share it with us, please tag Ayesha_illuminates or Lulu Ateliers or Leighton House Museum on Instagram, or email charlotte_villiers@rbkc.gov.uk. Please consider a donation to Leighton House. I am just about to post the link to that in the chat box. So here it goes. So just check the chat to make a donation to Leighton House. And the videos will be up on our YouTube channel on Leighton House. They're not up at the moment due to a technical glitch, but hopefully within the next week, we should have them up for everybody to watch. So thank you very much to Laurelie and to Charlotte and to everyone from Leighton House. And thank you all of you for joining us. Are we ready to do the screen?
I think we are. Okay, let me stop the share. And I am going to open my gallery view.
Yes, me too.
All right, we're waiting for you guys.
Yeah. If you'd like to share your work, we would love to see it.
Oh, looks wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. Very bold.
You can see Ali's color choice.
Yes.
Looks wonderful.
Oh, and I love even the samples as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh,
Oh, look at the
Lynn, that's
yellow.
beautiful. Just see if there's any.
Oh, looks great. Yeah, I don't think that you guys don't need to be insecure about your color choices. You're all choosing very nice colors.
Yeah,
Absolutely stunning. Wow.
absolutely. Dreaming.
All right, looks wonderful. So I'm very excited to see what you guys share and post with us on social media or email to us. You know, it's very easy to have bad days because of all the stuff going on in the world right now. So when you send us these, we smile extra big. All right. Have a wonderful evening or day wherever you are, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thank everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. The class is next week, same time.
Yeah. See you all.
Bye.